All right, this is Danny with the Crypto Show, and I'm here with Mateo, who is Mad Crypto, and we're kind of doing this crosstalk, something for his channel, a little bit of something for mine, and we're going to get to know each other and learn about crypto in Latin America.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Dan. Nice to meet you here finally, and glad to see that you're involved in an Acapulco. It's
Yeah.
like an event that I've been following for a couple, some years now.
You
And
you you attended
I have not
Anarchapulco?
attended, but I've been going to Acapulco my whole life, and I've been following it, but never been present since like 2017, I would say.
Right, right. When I talked to you yesterday, you said that's my dream
Yeah,
to
yeah.
speak at Anarchapulco, and I like that. I want to see somebody who's there. But Anarchapulco, it has this image of anarchy, and that's kind of what it's about. But what does anarchy actually mean is probably a different thing. Do you like feel with crypto and just everything around crypto that it is a tool for uh, like getting around the government or just not needing the government to coexist, to work with each other, to build communities and things like that. Like, what do you feel about crypto?
Definitely, I think it's a really great tool for independence from institutions, governments, and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely scared in the long run because of these analytics companies like Chainalysis, especially with like public blockchains that have everything transparent. That's why I really like privacy-focused projects because they will actually allow the freedom that was meant to be uh, produced by this kind
Right.
of technology because it's like a double-sided sword that can be used for bad as well.
Right. Already we have, with Bitcoin and everything, you've got the U.S. governments, the Western governments are saying, all right, we're going to make CBDCs where we can just turn your money off if we don't like what you're doing. Now, that's going to be a lot harder to do in Mexico and other countries that they would consider third world because it's mostly cash. Like if you look at the U.S., it's say 10 years ago, I don't even know what it is now. I'm sure it's much less. It was 7 to 8% of the actual currency in circulation was cash or coin. With Mexico, I'm sure it's much higher because most of the transactions are done here in cash and coin. So they're going to have a hard time pushing these CBDCs on countries like Mexico because people are just not down to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I love Mexico. Like even right now with the pandemic, like everything was like a lot of freedom here, right? They cannot
Yeah.
implement everything that they can implement in countries in Europe and like the US and Canada especially like
Yeah.
that they have them like really really under control. So I'm really glad Mexico is a country like this, and I hope we continue to be this country that has a lot of freedom. It brings some trouble, but it has its benefits and also its negative side. But I definitely appreciate all this that's only
Yeah.
available in Mexico and maybe other few countries. But I remember watching like the map of like open countries during like all the show, and
Yeah.
Mexico was like the most open one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was here during the pandemic as well, and what I noticed is the big cities just went along with it, even though the government was not saying that you were forced to have a vaccine or wear a mask. People just complied in the big cities. But when I went to small villages, like especially villages that were predominantly the indigenous, they there was no mask, and very few people wore a mask. They didn't subscribe to having the vaccine. But I know, I guess that is probably from the big cities. There are people that are more dependent on the government, and so they just go along with it. Don't bite the hand that feeds. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Like the big cities has like also a lot of like uh, police that can help implement,
Right.
and like all the rural areas and like more open spaces. Definitely, there's way more freedom. There still was like freedom in Mexico City, for example, but definitely uh, a lot of people are like complying with all this
Right.
stuff that's happening. but you just go out 1 hour away, and
Yeah.
it's a definitely different game totally.
Yeah, and I enjoyed doing business with them. Like, I had nothing better to do, so I would just go from business to business until somebody let me in because, I'm not doing nothing else, so why not? I would literally wear the Lone Ranger mask that only covered my eyes. So, and I had one guy in an OXXO in Baja. He goes, "What are you, 14?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?"
Yeah, it's well, Mexicans are really nice in general and open, and also doubts of the government, because we know like they steal, they plan different like takeovers and all that kind of stuff. So Mexicans, gladly we are like doubting the government all the time, and also I'm happy. I'm not very political, but I think our past president would have implemented a lot of more like worldwide censorship and all these control measurements.
Yeah.
But this president, the current president, was like a little bit more anti-globalist,
Right.
stuff like that. So that helped a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I had talked to some people who were worried about their health care and stuff like that, and they had a negative opinion of the government. I mean, I don't have a positive opinion of any government, but I thought it was a little bit more positive that he was not implementing these like draconian things where you have to have a vaccine. I noticed that there are towns around Mexico that are that the Mexican Constitution allows for tribal rule. So for indigenous people, that their villages or whatever can actually cast out the Mexican government and install their own government. And one city that's a great example of this is Charan. They kicked out the government and made their own government. So there's no central leader. It was like the neighborhoods have a representative, and everything got better. Like the way people dealt with each other was much better because there were no political parties. There was no division anymore in the city because they got rid of this partisan idea of a left and a right, or however many. I know Mexico has more than a left and a right. There's multiple parties. Even there's another one in Papantla in Veracruz, where I'm going next, and they've created their own currency. The local currency. These are really cool ideas. What do you think of this?
Oh, I really love it, and I appreciate all that freedom that the Constitution allows. But I also think one thing that has the U.S. and Mexico is that we have guns here, and that's what also gives us a lot of power against the governments and protects us from them taking over and controlling everything. So. Even though it's maybe not 100% legal, we have that protection,
Yeah.
and that allows us to be flexible. And communities are really strong here compared to other countries. Like even like the poorest people here, they will have like a house and very family oriented and community oriented. So that also makes really strong structures for these kind of things that you were talking about,
Right.
for like self-governed towns, for example.
When I talked to you yesterday, you mentioned some stuff about NFTs. You and I both are into privacy coins, and I actually work for a privacy project called Hush, which is forced privacy, and we're releasing a new coin. But back to the NFTs, I've done some NFTs myself, and it was for like raising charitable funds and stuff like that for different things. We raised money for an orphanage in Acapulco, for a hurricane in Louisiana. And you've got this idea of rental properties on the beach, tell me about that, because I think these are good ideas. If you look at some of this artwork where it's $65 million for some painting or whatever, like that just like kind of destroys the whole idea of NFTs, because now what's it worth? $65? I don't even know, but that just like makes it kind of illegitimate when there really are some other things that you can do with NFTs that are legitimate. Tell me about your project.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss education, because NFTs don't have value just because it's NFT. It's because, or the art is really good, but that's like the most lower part of the pyramid. And then there's like utilities. And I've seen people, like you said, pay hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars for NFTs that are useless. And one thing that I've been always interested in is connecting like blockchain with real estate because of all the illiquid value that's locked in real estate. And I did this experiment. I'm building like an 18-unit container development where I'm selling each of these containers, but one of them I decided to tokenize it. But I didn't tokenize like the ownership of the property because that also brings a lot of legal problems. What I tokenize is the nights. So it's like a voucher. Each NFT is like a voucher where you can like burn it and you can assist, attend, visit the property. But this is also really interesting for me because this opens up another market. There's like a secondary market where you can buy and sell these vouchers that are redeemable for nights, or you can hold them and they actually have like real world value. They have utility and there's like a floor price. For example, the cheapest Airbnb. So this is better than the cheapest Airbnb. So there's actual value and a lot of flexibility. I think that's it's not completely like a timeshare, but it's similar, but it's 100% more flexible because you can hold them, you don't lose your nights if you don't use them, you can trade them, you can do a lot of things, hold them for many years, and that's like what blockchain really allows, like this kind of solutions that brings this kind of new ownership for people. And I think people owning like nights is a really interesting asset to have.
Right. What about like discounts if they do so? Say if it's just some traveler who finds it on Airbnb or whatever, and you have like, hey, you can get a discount if you purchase this NFT for 10% less than what the price of the night. I mean, do you have that kind of built in so that you could actually incentivize other people to get involved in crypto?
Yeah. So there's like this, the main NFT. Whoever holds this main NFT will receive airdrops of these vouchers, but whoever holds this NFT as well, this membership NFT, gets like discounts when they visit that property. And also, this is a surf town, so we will have surfboards, and instead of you having to rent them, if you have the NFT, you will have access to the surfboards completely for free.
Right.
So that's a lot of value to add as well, and really a lot of flexibility. That's my idea, and that's the project I'm doing right now, and I think it's gonna be interesting.
Cool.
It's building right now, but I hope it's gonna be finished by first quarter of 2023, and people can come surf, chill, and talk crypto there.
Awesome. And where's it located about?
It's located in the state of Guerrero, as well as Acapulco, but northern, closer to Ixtapas y Guatanejo.
So near the Michoacan border, kind of.
A little bit that way, and it's really interesting place because the airport in Ixtapa is pretty international. There's flights from Canada, from the U.S. directly to there, and then you just have to travel like 30-40 minutes by car, and you will arrive to this town. I think it's has a lot of potential. It's really a small town that is starting to grow, and it's given me a little bit of flashbacks. Right now, for example, Tulum is really popular. Cancun is a really international airport. You fly there from many countries, and then you have to drive like 1.5 hours there. And this is similar. Ixtapa is not as international, but has many international flights. You fly to Ixtapa, and then you just drive 30-40 minutes, and you will be surfing a really nice wave that is really famous. It's breaks to the left, and you can ride it like 1 to 2 minutes.
Whoa.
And I would say that wave is for like beginner intermediates, but next to that town there's many waves for all kinds of levels for surfers.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that area. I drive through there all the time. So, well, not all the time, but twice a year at least is when I'm going back and forth from Acapulco. So I want to check that out. I'm traveling on a motorcycle right now, but I'm going to be in the area. I want to come check that out.
Yeah, we will welcome you there when it's finished, and hopefully we see more crypto community. I want to try to push. I haven't done anything like this, but I want to make it a little bit like maybe Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, but here in Mexico.
Awesome. I guess one last question. I don't know if you have any questions, but one last question I would know. What's your opinion of so much government being involved in this. This is we're at the I don't know if I mentioned this to start off with. We are at Blockchain Land, which is kind of a subset of Talent Land, and I see a lot of government involvement in this conference. What's your opinion of that?
First they ignored it, and now they're trying to join. So it's gonna be part of the game, but definitely, like I said, there needs to be like privacy solutions where there's no government involved and no one trying to intervene. Governments trying to implement blockchain solutions and stuff like that. Hopefully, there's good intentions there. I think there's benefits with like management of like the government expenses, like voting, decision making, where all the people could be involved in a really transparent way. But it's it to be like a massive like blockchain crypto. I think it's part of the game, but I think there needs to be really neutral also like projects where it doesn't matter if you're government, civilian or whatever.
Right.
There shouldn't be like a strong influence in that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, that covers my thing. If you have any questions,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you some questions, definitely. And I'm gonna do a little intro in Spanish just for my viewers. Estamos aquí con Dan, que es, bueno, un crypto head, pero también está involucrado en uno de los eventos que personalmente se me hacen más interesantes. Es un evento que se llama Anarcapulco, que se lleva a cabo en Acapulco casi todos los años. Y bueno, tiene que ver con anarquía, pero anarquía suena muy fuerte para algunas personas y no es como locura, sino que es libertad. Entonces, ahí te muestran como muchos talleres de cómo ser libre de diferentes maneras y ser independiente del gobierno. Y bueno, le quiero preguntar algunas cosas al buen Dan. Entonces, Dan, great to meet you here. I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Specifically, first of all, you're involved in Anarcapulco. This is an event that's been happening for many years now in Mexico. A lot of foreign people go there. And what kind of stuff do you learn there?
so basically, they learn everything off-grid living, or whether it's installing solar, spiritual. There could be they do ayahuasca stuff. They do teach you how to do crypto, how to avoid taxes, how to build intentional communities so that you can just live together and kind of coexist. Like say your surf community, how can we build our own? How can we interact and help each other without the use of government? How can we rely on each other? Those are the things that we do. And some of the stuff that I've been able to do that I've been really proud of and enjoy doing is working with the orphanage there. Each year over the past 7 years that we've been doing this, we've raised more and more money. I think it was the second year that Anarcapulco existed, we started working with them because from a Mexican biker gang introduced me to them. Okay. And we just kind of did a few things for them, and then every year it got more and more. And this past year we literally raised $40,000 by selling NFTs to the crowd of the speakers, and that all went right to the orphanage. So I've been just blessed to be able to do that.
That's amazing that many people like locals won't help them locals, but you like foreign people come to Mexico and try to help the local community. Like, what's the intention for that?
Well, I don't think that it's that the locals won't. It's they don't have the means to do so. I think that they would. The intent was in the beginning. I started out as a radio show host in Austin, Texas, and we're getting a lot of people saying that crypto is only for drugs. It's only for doing bad things with. Well, so I'm like, all right, well, we're going to start doing some good stuff with it. And the first thing we did is we started raising money for Ross Ulbricht
Nice.
for his legal defense fund to help him get out of prison. And then after that, we were feeding the homeless and trying to get dispensaries around the U.S. to use crypto. And then I ended up doing hurricane relief from Hurricane Harvey. And then after that, I came to Mexico and I built houses in Puebla from the earthquake. And this was all funded by crypto, 100%. Like we wouldn't even take dollars. If you tried to donate in dollars, we didn't even want it. We only did it in crypto. And so, yeah, it was fantastic. There's so many stories I could tell of what happened.
Yeah, I believe you. And I wanted to ask you, you also mentioned to me like you're involved in a privacy project. The people who watch my videos know that I'm also a lot of talking about privacy because, like I said before, blockchain is a double sword, side sword. So, what can you tell us about Hush and why do you think privacy is important in blockchain?
Well, if you look around at all of the different ways of communication, just about everything is compromised. Even Signal, which is supposed to be the most secure, maybe they can't read your messages, but they know who you're talking to, so they can link you to people. Well, that's your business. You know, if you want to be private, that's up to you. And we try to offer that. There's privacy coins out there that work well, like Monero. Zcash, I don't know, because most of the transactions are actually transparent, so you might as well just use Bitcoin. There are several forks that came off of Zcash that were great, you know, Pirate Chain and several others, and Hush is one of those that gives you privacy by default. So no matter what, your message is going to be private. It has the highest ANON set and the ability to send these messages within these Z to Z transactions. So that's what I like about it. It's got a great team. I'm in the development chats and I see what these guys are doing. There's no, you know, there's nothing nefarious going on, and I'm proud to be part of it. And we're making a new fork of this that will be Random X, and we're calling it Dragon X, and that will give anybody the ability to mine this on their laptop or home computer and be able to get involved at a simpler level, because you know, most Zcash projects are actually an ASICs mining, so you have to have all this special hardware. Well, now we've got it to where you can get involved at an easier level.
Yeah, and many people talk about decentralization, and I think one specific point of centralization for Bitcoin is that like there's a few people that produce those ASIC miners.
Right.
So I think that could help a lot of if you can mine it in like home devices. That's
Yeah.
definitely powerful, no?
Yeah, you know, and you mentioned that it's only a few people. It's Bitmain, so there were a lot of people who were actually just renting hash power from Bitmain and pretending to be a big mining operation. Like BitClub was this big Ponzi scheme scam that they never actually had their own miners running. They were just renting hashing power from Bitmain and pretending to have a big mine. And you know, they won't tell anybody that, but one of the guys from Bitmain actually told me that on accident, so that's how I know that happened.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background, not a lot of info, but what can we expect Dragon X to
Oh,
come to life?
so the launch is November 5th. We just dropped the announcement in bitcointalk.org yesterday. You can go to bitcointalk.org announcements and look for a post called Dragon Droppings. That's because we're dropping the Dragon X,
Okay.
and that'll give you the information. You can go to the Telegram there, and probably very quick we should have the information out for everybody to have to start the mining. So we want to start on November 5th. Because of there's, you know, V for Vendetta. Remember the 5th of November, and that's, you know, at the heading of that post is remember the 5th of November, for freedom of speech is not free, and then it gives the, you know, the specifics of.
Amazing. Well, I expect that. I'm really excited to see that, and then
I'm
thank you for your
excited to
time.
see. I'm excited to have you come. One of the things that we want to do this year with Anarchapulco is bring more Latin American speakers. And so we have Jose, and we have you, and we have a couple other guys. And I'm wanting to get more of a. This whole year is going to be more of a Latin American feel for the conference, and I'm looking forward to it. And if you have any of your viewers that are developers in C++ or Rust or Android, especially Android, I would love to hear from them. maybe they want to learn about blockchain and they could get in the door, maybe get some bounties or something. It's not a big money maker, but they would learn about blockchain and privacy, and we would, reap the rewards, of course.
Amazing. Yeah, I tell my audience all the time that if you have the chance, if you know programming, you should definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Amazing. That was fun.
Yeah.